March 1945, Germany. A captured officer's mess smells of wet wool, burnt coffee, and old smoke. Two black American sergeants stand near the long wooden table. Their helmets are off. Their boots are still caked with road mud. One of them, Sergeant Isaiah Cole, keeps his hands folded behind his back. He is 31 years old, a rail yard worker from St. Louis. He has spent months hauling fuel, ammunition, and wounded men through the European theater. Across from him sits a Wehrmacht colonel, silver hair, clean gloves, a sharp gray collar. The colonel looks at the black sergeants and smiles, not a warm smile, a cutting one. Then he says something in German. The translator goes still, forks stop moving. A white American captain lowers his cup but says nothing. The room hears the rain tapping the broken windows. Then the translator speaks. He says America must be desperate, if it lets men like them wear sergeant stripes. No one moves. Sergeant Cole does not blink. The other sergeant grips his cap so tight the brim bends. And then boots sound in the hallway. Slow, heavy. General George Patton enters the room. He sees the colonel. He sees the two sergeants. And he hears what has just been said. This is what Patton does. Before we continue, make sure you subscribe. We tell the World War II stories where rank, courage, and honor collide in the same room. Some moments are not found in big battle maps. They are found in one sentence: no soldier ever forgets. The mess hall is not really a mess hall anymore. It is a captured German dining room, long table, white walls cracked by shell bursts. A portrait frame hangs crooked near the stove. The glass is gone. Only the nail remains. Outside, rain falls over the town in thin gray sheets. It taps the broken windows. It runs down the stone steps. It turns the yard into mud. Inside, American soldiers eat from tin plates. Nobody talks much. The war is moving fast now. It is March 1945, and Germany is breaking open. The Rhine is behind them. The roads are full of prisoners. The fields are full of abandoned guns. Every man in that room knows the war is close to ending. But close does not mean over, not for the men still driving trucks at night, not for the men still clearing roads, not for the men still wearing American stripes in a country that hates them. Sergeant Isaiah Cole stands near the end of the table. He is not tall, but he stands straight. His uniform is damp at the shoulders. His sleeves are dark from rain. His hands are rough, with black grease still under the nails. He is 31 years old. Before the war, he works rail lines in St. Louis. He knows engines. He knows weight. He knows what happens when one small part fails. Now he serves in a supply unit attached to the advance. Fuel, ammunition, tires, blankets, coffee. The things nobody films, but everybody needs. Beside him stands Staff Sergeant Robert Gaines. Gaines is younger, 26, from Georgia. He has a narrow face and a scar over his left eyebrow. He gets it months earlier while unloading crates under artillery fire. Tonight, Gaines holds his cap in both hands. His thumbs press hard into the brim. Across the table sits the German colonel. His name is Colonel Friedrich Adler. He is not chained. Not yet. He sits because officers are being questioned separately. He has surrendered that morning with 12 men and 2 cars. His boots are polished. His collar is clean. His gray gloves rest beside his plate. Even defeated, he acts like the room belongs to him. A white American captain sits near him. Captain Miller, thin face, tired eyes. His helmet hangs from the back of his chair. He is trying to keep order. That is what he tells himself. Just keep order. Get the colonel fed. Get the questions answered. Move him to the rear. No trouble. No scene. No report. A translator stands between the two sides. Private David Rosen. 19 years old. Brooklyn. Wire. Rim glasses. A pencil tucked behind one ear. He has translated road signs, surrender papers, and angry shouting for weeks. But this room feels different. It feels too quiet. The colonel eats slowly. He cuts the meat with small, careful motions. He looks around the room once. Then his eyes stop on Cole and Gaines. He smiles. Not with surprise. With pleasure. Like he has found something weak. Cole sees it. Gaines sees it. Rosen sees it too. The colonel says something in German. Softly. Almost politely. Rosen's pencil stops moving. Captain Miller looks up. What did he say? Rosen does not answer at first. The rain fills the silence. A spoon scrapes a plate at the far end. Cole keeps his eyes forward. He already knows enough German to catch pieces. Amerikaner, Neger, Sergeant. He knows the tone even better. A man does not need every word to understand contempt. Captain Miller asks again. What did he say, Private? Rosen swallows. His glasses slide down his nose, he says. He stops. The colonel leans back, still smiling. That smile spreads the insult before the words do. Gaines bends the cap brim tighter. Cole does not move. Rosen forces the sentence out. He says America must be desperate if it puts men like them in sergeant stripes. Nobody speaks. Not one man. A stovepipe ticks in the corner. Somewhere outside, a truck engine turns over and fails. The colonel takes a sip of coffee. That is the worst part. Not the words, the calm after them. As if the insult costs him nothing. As if two American sergeants standing in wet uniforms are less real than his clean gloves. Captain Miller's jaw tightens. But he does not stand. He does not order the colonel removed. He does not defend the stripes on those sleeves. He only looks down at his cup. Cole watches that. He watches the captain choose silence. And in that silence, the room changes. It is no longer only a captured German officer insulting two black soldiers. It is a test for every American in the room. The men at the far table stop chewing. One soldier looks at Cole, then looks away. Another stares at the floor. Private Rosen's pencil shakes in his fingers. The colonel notices all of it. His smile grows smaller. Harder. He says another line in German. This time Rosen does not translate. Captain Miller hears the sound and looks at him. Private. Rosen's face goes pale. Cole turns his head just enough to see him. Say it, Cole says. His voice is low. No anger, no begging, just a command from one sergeant to another soldier. Rosen looks at him, then at Gaines, then at the colonel. He says their uniforms do not make them soldiers. Gaines exhales through his nose. His thumb digs so deep into the cap that the cloth creases. Cole feels heat rise in his chest. But his face stays still. He thinks of the men he has hauled from shell holes. White men, black men, men with no boots, men calling for their mothers. He thinks of frozen hands lifting gasoline cans. He thinks of nights, when German artillery makes the road jump. He thinks of a corporal from Ohio, who bleeds all over Cole's sleeve and still thanks him. But none of that is on his face. Only his eyes change. The colonel keeps looking at him. Waiting. Wanting a reaction. Wanting proof. Captain Miller finally speaks. That is enough. But the words are small. Too late. They do not land on the colonel. They land on the floor. Cole hears the weakness in them. So does every man there. A door opens somewhere down the hall. Boots hit the tile. Slow, heavy, not hurried. The sound comes closer. The colonel turns his head. Captain Miller sits straighter. Private Rosen pulls the pencil from behind his ear. Gaines lets the bent cap hang at his side. Cole keeps his hands behind his back. The room holds its breath. But here is what nobody was talking about yet. The German colonel has not insulted two men. He has insulted the uniform in front of the one general who treats that uniform like sacred ground. The boots stop at the doorway. General George Patton steps into the room. Ivory-handled pistols at his hips. Mud at the edge of his riding boots. His helmet strap hangs loose against his jaw. Rain glistens on his coat. He does not rush. He does not look angry. That almost makes it worse. Patton's eyes move once around the room. The broken frame. The untouched cups. Captain Miller sitting too stiff. Private Rosen holding a shaking pencil. Then the two black sergeants. Then the German colonel. He takes in the whole thing in seconds. What is this? He asks. His voice is low. Captain Miller stands so fast his chair scrapes. Sir, we were questioning the prisoner. Patton keeps his eyes on the colonel. That is not what I asked. Nobody answers. The rain keeps ticking against the windows. Patton turns slightly toward Rosen. You, tell me. Rosen wets his lips. Sir, the colonel made remarks about the sergeants. What remarks? Rosen looks at Cole, then Gaines, then back at Patton. He said America must be desperate to put men like them in stripes. Patton says nothing. He takes one step into the room. His gloves creak as he folds them in his hand. Is that all? Rosen freezes. For a second, the room hopes it is. But the colonel speaks again. This time he does not hide the contempt. His German comes sharper now. Cleaner. He wants to be understood. Rosen's face changes. The color drains from it. Patton sees that too. Well? Rosen's voice drops. He says. He would rather surrender to a white private than take orders from a black American sergeant. The room goes dead still. That is the turn. That is the part worse than the insult. It is not only mockery now, it is denial. Denial of rank. Denial of service. Denial of the uniform itself. Captain Miller shuts his eyes for 1 second. Gaines stares at the floor. Cole stands motionless, but the muscle in his jaw jumps once. Patton turns his head toward the colonel. For the first time, his face hardens. Not loud, not dramatic, just hard. He walks to Cole first, not to the prisoner, not to the captain, to Sergeant Isaiah Cole. What is your name, Sergeant? Isaiah Cole, sir. Unit. Attached supply. 3rd Army, sir. How long in theater? 11 months, sir. Patton nods. He studies the wet sleeve, the grease, darkened cuff, the boots whitened by dried mud. Then he turns to Gaines. Name? Robert Gaines, sir. Time in theater? 9 months, sir. Been under fire? Yes, sir. Gaines lifts his scarred brow without meaning to. Patton sees the mark above his eye. How did you get that? Unloading ammo near Nancy, sir. Patton gives one short nod, then he faces the colonel. And you, the translator repeats it. Colonel Adler stands slowly. He still tries to hold dignity together. But the room has shifted now. It no longer belongs to him. Patton steps closer. Not nose to nose. Just close enough. These men wear sergeant stripes in the United States Army, he says. Rosen translates. They carry fuel, ammunition, and wounded men through your artillery. They do their duty under fire. They stand in this room as soldiers. Each sentence lands like a hammer. Quiet hammer blows. No waste. No flourish. The colonel answers in German. Short. Stiff. Rosen translates. He says rank should belong to men who lead his kind of army. Patton's eyes narrow. Now his voice gets even calmer. That army is finished. Rosen repeats it. Patton points to Cole's sleeve. You see those stripes? The colonel says nothing. Patton does not repeat himself. You will address him as sergeant. Rosen translates. The colonel hesitates. It is small, barely a second. But the hesitation says everything. Patton notices. So does every man in the room. Patton turns to Captain Miller. If this officer does not understand who outranks him here, send him outside with the enlisted prisoners. Yes, sir. The colonel hears enough English to catch that. His chin jerks up. Pride fights panic. Then Patton does something even colder. He steps aside and gestures toward Cole. Look at him, Patton says. Rosen translates again. The colonel looks. Not at the floor, not at the table, at Cole, at the wet jacket, at the hard hands, at the sleeve with the stripes. Patton speaks one more time. This man serves in the army that beat yours. The translator's voice cracks on the last word. The colonel swallows. His mouth tightens. Then, through clenched teeth, he says it. Sergeant. Rosen translates, though he does not need to. Everyone hears the surrender inside the word. But Patton is not finished. He turns back to Cole. Sergeant Cole. Sir, you and Sergeant Gaines will supervise his transfer. Captain Miller looks up fast. The room understands at once. The man who mocked them is now leaving under their authority. Not symbolic authority. Real authority, paperwork, movement, custody, orders. Cole answers without raising his voice. Yes, sir. Patton gives him one last look. It is brief, but it carries weight. Then Patton turns and leaves the same way he entered. Slow steps. Straight back. No speech for the room. No applause. The door closes behind him. Only then does the mess hall breathe again. Captain Miller clears his throat and cannot find words. Private Rosen takes off his glasses and wipes them with shaking fingers. Gaines looks down at the bent brim of his cap. Cole steps forward at last. "On your feet, Colonel," he says. Adler rises. The gloves stay behind on the table. That tiny detail matters. A clean man leaves without them. A dirty war strips him anyway. Cole escorts him toward the door. Gaines falls in beside them. The rain smell grows stronger in the hall, and before the night is over, one small object in Sergeant Gaines's hand will carry more memory than the whole ruined building behind him. The cap brim stays bent. That is the first thing Sergeant Gaines notices. Not the colonel, not the hallway, not even Patton's words. Just the cap in his hand. The cloth is creased where his thumbs press too hard. A simple thing. A soldier's cap. But now it feels like proof. Proof that he stands there. Proof that he hears every word. Proof that he does not break. The hallway outside the mess room is cold. Wind pushes through a blown out window. Somewhere beyond the wall, a truck grinds into gear and rolls through the rain. Sergeant Cole walks on the colonel's left. Gaines walks on the right. Colonel Adler keeps his eyes forward. He no longer smiles. His clean gloves are still on the table behind him. Nobody runs after them. Nobody says, "You forgot these." Some things are better left behind. At the end of the hall, 2 military policemen wait near the door. One of them has a cigarette tucked behind his ear. The other holds a clipboard under his coat to keep it dry. Cole stops in front of them. "Transfer this prisoner to the officers' holding area," he says. His voice is steady. The MP looks at Cole's stripes, then at Gaines, then at the German colonel. "Yes, Sergeant." One word. "Sergeant." This time, it sounds different. Not forced, not bitter, not pulled from a proud man's teeth. Just clear, correct, earned. The colonel hears it too. His jaw shifts, but he says nothing. The MP takes him by the arm. Adler steps into the rain without his gloves. Cold water hits his gray sleeves. His polished boots sink into the mud. For the first time that night, he looks small, not beaten by a fist, not beaten by a shout, beaten by the truth of who holds authority now. Cole watches until the colonel disappears into the dark yard. Then he turns back toward the mess room. Gaines does not move. He is still staring at the bent cap. Cole notices. "You all right?" Gaines gives a small nod. "Yeah," but his voice is rough. Cole waits. The older sergeant does not push. He knows some answers need room. Gaines rubs the crease with his thumb. "Man talked like we weren't even wearing the uniform." Cole looks down the hallway. The rain shines on the broken floor tiles. Then the general made him see it. Gaines lets out one short breath. Not a laugh. Not quite. More like air leaving a wound. Inside the mess room, the men are standing now. No one orders them to. They just are. Captain Miller stands near his chair, cup untouched. Private Rosen has his pencil back behind his ear, but his hand still shakes. When Cole and Gaines step in, the room turns toward them. That is the hard part. Not the insult. Not the colonel. This. Being seen after men choose not to see you. For a few seconds, nobody speaks. Then Captain Miller steps forward. His face is pale. His helmet hangs crooked from one hand. "Sergeant Cole," he says. Cole looks at him. Miller swallows. "I should have stopped it sooner." The room hears that too. No excuse. No long speech. Just a man admitting what silence costs. Cole holds his eyes for a moment. Then he nods once. "That would have been better, sir." The answer is quiet, but it lands harder than anger. Miller lowers his chin. "Yes, it would." Private Rosen steps closer next. He looks younger than 19 now. "I'm sorry I made you ask me to say it." Cole studies him. The boy's glasses are fogged at the edges. "You did your job," Cole says. Then he adds, "Next time, do it quicker." Rosen nods fast. "Yes, Sergeant." Gaines finally puts his cap back on. The brim is still bent. He does not fix it. Maybe he cannot. Maybe he does not want to. Years from now, that crease will still be the part he remembers. Not the colonel's name. Not the town. Not even the exact German words. He will remember rain on broken glass. A room full of men too quiet. Patton standing with mud on his boots. And one enemy officer forced to say the rank he tried to erase. That is how some World War II stories survive. Not in maps, not in speeches, not in the names of generals alone, They survive in small things soldiers carry home. A bent cap brim, a stained sleeve, a word spoken correctly at last, because the war is not only fought over land, it is fought over what a man is worth when the world tries to make him less. Patton does not just defend two sergeants that night, he defends the meaning of the uniform, and for men like Cole and Gaines, that matters more than any toast in any captured dining room. So what would you have done in that room? Would you have spoken up right away, or waited for someone with more rank to do it? Let us know in the comments. And if you want more World War II stories about the moments when courage and honor meet face to face, make sure you subscribe. Some of the strongest battles happen far from the front line. He did not just make a colonel say sergeant. He made a room remember what honor sounds like.